Sorry, TJ. Starts in about 5 minutes. Just waiting for Fabio to finish up. Hopefully Vito will come in. And if you want to join us, just say so in the chat and I'll shoot a link out there. Sorry, TJ. Starts in about 5 minutes. Just waiting for Fabio to finish up. Hopefully Vito will come in. And if you want to join us, just say so in the chat and I'll shoot a link out there. Sorry, TJ. Starts in about 5 minutes. Just waiting for Fabio to finish up. Hopefully Vito will come in. And if you want to join us, just say so. At least I've remembered to switch off the feed now. So that'll be good.
Hey.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. How about you?
I'm not bad, thank you. I'm not bad. I got on early to try and
yeah, right.
To test to see if we could get Vito in here, and I completely fucked up and went live about 20 minutes ago. So it's been dead quiet for the last 20 minutes, but we're finally here.
Yeah.
And let me just check on Vito and see how we're going.
Check on Jim too, because I think he wants to join.
Oh, fucking hell, he's changed the fucking thing again. Oh, no, it's there. Okay. Yeah, if you wouldn't mind checking on Jim, that'd be good. I haven't heard anything from him.
I think he thumbed up the conversation. So yeah. I think it should be in.
Oh, sorry. I'm getting really frustrated trying to get Vito in here. Come on, buddy. The link's to above. Just click on it. Okay. He's giving me this now. Right. Don't know. Weird. Let me see if I can do it this way. Add Vito. No matching results. How do you spell his second name? Dadiam.
If you write in on the, I mean, on the general chat, it was there. But anyway,
I'm in Google Plus now.
Oh, I don't know if he's got a Google Plus account.
Well, he better have. Well, I know he's got a. I don't know.
Listen, he better have it. Yeah. You better have. I'm with you, but we're talking about Vito here.
Okay. I think I understand why he can't get in now.
Yeah.
Has he not got a Gmail account?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay. Okay, this is what I got, and it showed old Hangout with you. I updated my Firefox. Right. I don't know, Vito. I really don't know.
Is he replying to you?
He's not replying at the moment. I think he's a bit frustrated as well because we've been trying to sort this out for 20 minutes. Wow. I've given him my email, given him that. Don't look at that last one. That's a load of rubbish. But it's that one there. Oh, that's you. Okay. I don't know. Sorry, Vito. Oh, there you are. Right. I can. At least I've got your name now. Talk amongst yourselves. That's just you and me. I realise that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, he has got a G Plus account.
Oh, okay.
Good. Right. So, Okay, copy. It's still not letting me do it though. Oh, unbelievable. Fucking Google is so shit. No matching results. Right, I am literally on your Google Plus page.
If it clicks on the link on Facebook, it should be able to join without too many problems.
We should be able to do it under a guest thing, but he has got a
Yeah, that guy is retarded. I mean, there is no. Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry to say that, but there is no nicer way to say that. You know, it is totally.
Look, there's your thing. There's your fucking Google Plus.
Tell him to click on the fucking link that you posted on fucking Facebook.
Yeah, no, I've done that already. He says he's tried. He says it comes back with some message.
So, yeah, some message. I mean,
wanting an email. So I've given him my email, and that doesn't seem to work. He's not like coming back and telling me what's wrong now, unfortunately.
I don't think I don't think he wants your email. I think he wants
his email. Right. Hang on a second. If you're listening out there, Vito, go to that Hangout link that you gave, right? And then type my name into the search box and see if I come up. I don't know how to do this. If you don't come up on Google, well, maybe I can do it this way. If I add you in the Hangout, perhaps you'll come up there. Send invitation, G+, public. Okay. Right, I think I've just sent it to everybody. Right, if you go to G+ now, Vito, you should be receiving an invitation through Google+. Right, well, we can't wait because he's not responding.
This is my thought about the whole thing.
Yeah.
He probably, well, he used to have a Google Plus account. He managed to get into some groups or stuff like that. They banned him. So he made new Google Plus accounts. And now he's lost track of what the fuck he's got.
Okay. Oh, well, we'll just have to just see if it sorts itself out. You know, he's not got back to me. So until he does, I can't really do much more than do what I've done. So I sent him a link. I put the link in Facebook. I've sent everybody a link so people could come in and start trolling. But there you go. Never mind. That was the sacrifice. Okay. Welcome. If there's anybody fucking bothering, I don't know why. This is as slow as a new Formula One season. Go ahead.
You're still off air.
No, it says off air, but actually it's probably on air if you go to the YouTube link.
Is it probably on air? That's amazing.
It says on air on YouTube. I know. That's what I thought. It was off air, and then I checked it, and yeah, well, whatever. I'm a fucking imbecile when it comes to these things. So who fucking knows? And it's been on for how many minutes now? Like half an hour already, and not a single thing has been said. Oh, I think that might be my Facebook coming back to me. Right, I can't get on. I downloaded new folder and it fucked up all my passwords.
Told you.
Yeah. Okay, look, I'm sorry, dude. We're going to have to just start the show because otherwise, you know, I don't know. It doesn't matter. Oh, now I've got someone phoning. Okay, good. Right. Can it go any worse? No, it can't.
Oh, yeah, it can't. It might be raining. So.
Right. Okay. So Formula One, I was going to go through some things, but I don't think we're going to get much of a chance to chat. So I guess we'll do what we can.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to talk about two things, really. Firstly, what you generally thought of the season in terms of the new downforce regulations and how that's affected the racing this year compared to how we've had in the last 3 years.
Mm.
So that would be my first question to you.
Yeah, I think the problem is I think if I remember well, we talked about it at the beginning of the year, and unfortunately, what we said has happened. This new downforce thing, you know, it basically made overtaking, I wouldn't say quite impossible because, you know, we saw some really good overtaking, but surely they were more difficult. So I don't know. I mean, it's the same old story, you know. It's very interesting from a technical point of view. I don't know if the casual observer can get any excitement out of that. I mean, technically, it is fascinating. I mean, the cars are going fast. They're going way faster than they used to, but if all the cars are going faster, you don't really realize how fast they go. So to the casual observer, it doesn't really make that much of a difference, you know. So yeah, I think it's a little bit of a bummer from the show point of view.
Yeah, absolutely. From the show point of view, I mean, the things that were done in the last few years were for the show, right? Yeah. Raising the wings, making the cars look a little thinner, right? What else have we had? Yeah, raising the rear wing was the main one, so cars can follow closer behind, but also getting rid of the, or going back to full slicks. That was another one that's happened recently, isn't it? What else have we had? The lack of front wing. I mean, the lack of thinner front wing, and also the smaller area that you're allowed to develop the front wing within. That's also, I think, the main reason why cars are allowed to follow closer. Why we've been spoilt so much over the last few years.
Yeah, I mean, I think that unfortunately, it is my opinion. But if you want to have way more competitive races, you need to take down aerodynamics drastically. And I mean, really smaller wings, really smaller rear and front wings, stuff like that. But it's the same old thing, you know. It is quite contrary to the spirit. So yeah, it's a weird compromise, you know. It's really difficult, I think, to solve things from only an aerodynamic point of view. It's really tough. So I don't know exactly where they're going to go. I don't see that as a really good road, to go. Well, not a good road, but it's difficult to make regulations and
Yeah.
obtain the results that you think you're going to obtain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree as well. I mean, fundamentally for me, it's this idea of Formula One being about the front wing, really, more than anything else. That's the most important thing, or that's what makes this formula the most exciting, as far as I'm concerned, is the fact the cars can change direction at high speed so quickly. And that's so impressive when you see it live on TV.
It is. I mean, ever since the 60s, basically, 70s, early 70s, late 60s, the Formula One has become an aerodynamic sport. The aerodynamics have become really major, up to the points of the ground effect cars. But that has become a major thing, and we said I think we said in the last podcast, when you don't have mechanical grip, you need aerodynamical grip. And I mean, the mechanical grip is the one which makes things funny. Okay, if you see even a VTCC race or a rally race, you see the car is sliding all over the fucking place, and it's really exciting to see. But if you go, but you can only obtain that if you go with mechanical grip. If you go with the aerodynamical grip, you need speed actually to have the downforce on the car.
Sure.
And
you can go with rear grip. I mean, it's front end grip. That's what I'm pointing at. Look, here's the issue with Formula One is we like our Formula One cars to have a lot of front end, and the only way you can get that is with this massive aero. And if you put massive front end aero on a car, then the more it gets disturbed when the air doesn't fall cleanly over the wing.
Yeah.
And that necessarily means the car's got to follow further behind. And the race before last was a typical example where, Lewis just couldn't get anywhere close to Valtteri, despite the fact he's clearly, if not equal or better driver. So, the cars are the same, and yet even those cars can't get within a second.
Yeah, it's because it's a big bummer, because you don't really need a front wing too much on the straight, but you need it when you're braking. And actually, when you brake is when the overtake happens.
Yeah, or the other side of it, which is, you need to get close. It's through the corner to be able to get alongside down the next straight. And if you can't get out of the corner quick enough, the guy's already halfway down the straight in a Formula One car by the time you've put your foot down. So that's not going to happen. And again, it all leads to this thing. So we want the front end. That's the point. Formula One is almost a front end formula. So as I say, the only solution I could get to is to increase the DRS. Right? Let's get the gimmick going a bit better. So as to make them rely on the gimmick almost.
Yeah, and finally, this is a problem that you wouldn't be able to solve it even if you decide tomorrow to actually fuck up completely Formula One, and you decide, okay, let's make a single engine, single chassis class. You wouldn't solve the problem either, because it's not a problem of performances. It's of overall performances. It's a problem of how the cars are built.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. But if you took the front end off and said, right, no front wings, then that's the problem solved overnight.
It is. I mean, you will have slower cars. You will have way more exciting overtakes. You will have way more of exciting corners, because the cars will be all over the place. And you will have slower races. Now, I don't know if people would probably love it. And again, I'm talking about general public. The ones which have been following Formula One for ages will probably stop watching it.
Yeah, well, that's it, and that's it, because Formula One is about the front wing. I mean, that's what they've come to rely on. That's what makes the difference. So
yeah, it's about going as fast as you can on a track,
and an open track. Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Not a racetrack, not in race terms, you know. And that's the compromise they make, and that is quite, that's quite exciting as well, right? Thinking, well, okay, if they know they can't get pole position, then they have to compromise their setup to give them a bit of extra speed down the straight.
Yeah, it is. And so, that's why I'm a little bit worried by Liberty, because I know they're going to make something for the show, but the thing is that the show that they're thinking about is not something that you can easily achieve in Formula One.
What do you think? What do you think the show they're thinking about is?
Oh, they're thinking about something, along the lines of what happens in, I don't know, in F2 or kart series and stuff like that, where basically everybody can have a chance at winning, and the races are really that close and stuff like that, But that's not Formula One. I mean, Formula One is something that everything is measured in tenths of a seconds. I mean, Williams is not. If you talk in absolutes, it's not really a much slower car than the Mercedes. It's a car which takes 2-3 tenths of a second, 4 tenths of a second on a lap, on a minute and 29, which is, it's not that big. The thing is that they can keep that distance through all the laps, and after 3 laps, they got 3 seconds, and they will never get it.
Yeah.
But that's the Formula One for you. You get the edge, and you keep the edge. You keep the edge going.
Yeah, I guess. I'm always reminded of, I don't know what race it was. I'm thinking it was probably somewhere like San Marino, Mansell chasing Prost. I think it was at San Marino many years ago, 83, 84, around there. And I remember Prost was going for a one stop, I think, and Mansell had already come in for his one stop, but was still behind, and he wasn't putting in the lap times because his tires he was catching but not fast enough, so he pitted. Right now, bearing in mind he was already 20 seconds behind, then pitted for fresh tires, and then caught Prost. Why? Yeah. Because of the differential in the tire performance.
Yes.
Right. But he still had to take that gamble to go in, drop another 30 seconds or 40 seconds probably in those days, and go another 40 seconds, a minute behind Prost, and then hope that he could put in the lap times before his tires wore out.
Yeah.
Now that was hugely exciting. There's nothing like that can happen anymore.
No.
We don't have that tire differential.
No, we haven't. We have a shitload of tires, and there is a very big little difference. It's not that there is a little difference between the tires. It's that the cars have become so specialized. And again, it's what we're talking about. At the beginning, you put a wing. I'm talking about the 80s, even the 90s. You put a wing a little bit more, different, and you got a huge performance. Now the cars are so sophisticated that, for example, this year we've seen that generally Ferrari was performing better with the super soft, and Mercedes was performing better with the soft tires, because the window of opportunity of the tires was so narrow that the car were basically specialized on that kind of tire. And it's bonkers, because you think, okay, this car is fast on these tires. If they get softer tires, it might be even faster. And that didn't happen. So it's really difficult nowadays. The whole show, all the machinery involved is so specialized that it's really tough to say,
Yeah.
It's really difficult.
Good. Okay. Sorry, I was just checking something. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, it is. You're right. So I think now we'll just move on to tires straight away then, since we media. I mean, Liberty what can they do, right? Other than change the front wing,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which then people would, I mean, that's the least they could do, right? If they wanted to change it up completely and make it IndyCar, I guess they could do certain things like restrict the BHP of the engines or something, maybe. But nonetheless, the basic thing they could do would be to affect the front ring and make the front ring a lot less effective. But of course, then that's, as you say, reducing speeds, it's reducing performance, it's stressing tyre wear even more, right? So that way, if you then design a car which is soft on tyres or easy on tyres, then you're going to have an advantage if you're following. But if you're out in front, it'll be a disadvantage. So again, we polarize the grid. And so there is no easy solution. I don't think there is a solution to this other than saying to the engine manufacturers or saying to the, the teams that they have to build like barge boards at the back of their cars to, generalize the air again, like they did in IndyCar when they put a flat board across the back of the wing to allow towing from much further back. Did you see that? It slightly affected top speed, but not much. But it allowed the tow to be created like 300 yards behind the car or something stupid.
Yeah, I mean that might be a solution. I mean, I don't know, but the thing is that every time when you put the difference between F1 and kart, for example, is that when you put something in the kart series, they build aerodynamic packages, and it's 2 or 3 aerodynamic packages, and if you're a team, you pick and choose from one of them, and that's it. With F1, you've got to make regulations, and then everybody reads the rules and everybody gives their own interpretations, so it is way tougher because there is someone, some people are really, really, really fucking smart, and it happens really often that you make a regulation thinking about one thing, but you word it in a different way, and people say, "Oh, I will get an advantage out of it and fuck everybody," which is, what happens. So it is way more difficult. It would be easier if Liberty said, "Okay, this is the rear wing you got to use. That's it. We'll give you the rear wing. We'll give you the front wing." But if you do that,
that's not Formula One.
It's not. Well, first of all, it's not Formula One, and then you got a huge amount of people which are going to be fired. Yeah. And it's not cheap people. So
Yeah. I guess that's right. I mean, I'm hoping that they. I mean, this is my secret hope, right? Which is a hope against hope, almost. Which is that this year, Pirelli are going to choose challenging tyre compounds to use, and that's going to throw at least some spanners into the works a little bit. I understand it's almost impossible for them to get this right, because to bring 2 tyres to a specific circuit, which are going to have exactly the right differential between them to allow great tactics between different teams, right, in Formula One, that is impossible. So I applaud them, unlike many things I'm hearing in the media. I applaud them this year for next year for bringing in more compounds.
They're bringing more one of the funny things is that which happened this year is that Pirelli made too much of a good job.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Because I mean they made tires which are they're performing really well, and they last a lot. And this, I think, was quite a bummer, because we've seen races where they only had 1 pit stop, and that's pretty much it. And it's not by chance that next year, they're going to bring a new compound, which is even softer than ultra soft. But the most interesting thing is that basically all the tires, they slided all the tires towards a softer compound. So the I don't know, like for example, I mean the soft tires of next year are basically the super soft of this year. So they shifted all towards a softer compound, and they made that with two things in mind, which I think, I mean, I can't blame them for thinking about it. Is that you will have better performances from the car, and also you will have tires which last a little bit less. So you can probably have races with 2 pit stops, and you can have some more interesting.
Yeah, they're saying they hope it might even be 3.
Yeah.
So that will be exciting if that works out. But I worry again because there seems to be politics on tires all the time, of course, and when they end up bringing tires to a circuit, they do seem to be more conservative with the choices.
Well, I can't blame them. To be totally fair, if I put myself in their shoes, I can't really blame. You are the only manufacturer of tires in the formula, and the only thing that you don't want to happen is to have a tire blow up during the race. So if I were in their shoes, I would do exactly the same. I will bring the hardest tire I can, because fuck those guys. I mean, sure. My brand is that the tires have got to last. So I don't want tires exploding, in the middle of the race.
Right. That actually brings up a really good point, which is, the engine manufacturers are in there to show that their engines are powerhouses that can produce a lot of power reliably. And to that goal, the regulations get changed to ensure that they get to show that.
Yeah,
we don't get that with the tire manufacturers. It's quite the opposite. In fact, the tire manufacturer gets asked to sacrifice their company goals in order to make the fact that the engine manufacturers can't get their shit together to compete on an even basis, right?
Yeah, right. Which is bonkers, because
in some sense, I mean, we don't have competition on the tires, right? So
no,
Pirelli are in a special spot that they get the advertising alone, and nobody gets to dispute that with them. So maybe they should be doing some more for the sport in that way.
I don't think there is too much interest from other manufacturers to join in, to be fair. So
I don't think they got a choice. I mean, to be honest, but I think when Pirelli signed, it was as a sole manufacturer. They didn't want to allow anybody else to compete with them.
Yeah, but you see, it's a huge problem, because this happens every time there is more than one manufacturer of tires. That and again, the cars, they don't want people to tell them, oh, you won the championship because you had Bridgestone instead of Michelin.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah,
it's the same old thing. The cars, the teams competing, they want to say, okay, we won the championship. Our car won the championship, not the Bridgestone tires won the championship.
Yeah. Well, again, there should be several teams, but again, you're right. I think what I was getting to though was that I think it would be nice that, based upon what we expect from Pirelli, it would be really nice if they would just say, these tires will, should last you, 10 laps, and from 10 to 12 laps they'll be okay, but after 12 laps they'll blow. If they told when the tires were going to blow, everyone would be going, great, you're such a great tire manufacturer, you can tell us whether it's going to be this lap or the next lap that the tires are going to blow.
You're right.
They could turn that to an advantage. So they could actually turn the fact that their tires are wearing out to an advantage if they could just predict it with a little accuracy and say, right, we'll guarantee the super soft tire for 11 laps, and after 13 it's going to blow for the next one, after 18 for the next one, etc.
No, you're right. I mean, and this is what I was saying before. They've been victims of the success because they've been able to make tires which are they're performing really well, and they last a really long time. Unfortunately, this doesn't make too much for the show. And I think that the rationale behind, stepping down towards the softer compound, all the tires, not only introducing the softer tires, it goes in that direction. They basically want people to use softer tires, and they will tell you, okay, this tire is going to last X amount of time. But in order for you to do that, you need, again, it's a catch-22. You need to have a car which is able to perform well on that kind of tire, because if not, we'll use the harder one.
Exactly.
And the difference is not that much, but they save one pit stop. It is extremely complicated, and when I say that, I'm saying basically that it's not all Pirelli's fault. It's also the thing what we were saying before, that the cars are so specialized on some tires that have become an issue.
Yeah, I don't think it's Pirelli's fault at all. I mean, they could make tires that were soft as the softest, and probably lasted as long as the race if they so chose. But because they keep getting doctored and asked not to do that for the benefit of us, right? The spectators, then they're put in this position. Excuse me a second.
And I agree with you. There is also a thing that, for example, they made the new hyper soft tire, the pink one, but they're already talking about using that, in specific circuits, like, for example, Monte Carlo or places like that. So it's I really don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel a little disappointed again, because although it will be better next year, because we'll have extra tires. Of course, they're still bringing 3 tires to each Grand Prix.
Yeah,
it's not that you get the choice of all 7 every Grand Prix, which I recognise is very, very expensive. But I do wish that the teams could have more choice, right? If they want to design their car so it's easy on tires and they get to use a softer tire as a result, I think that would be great. But they don't get the choice to do that. They only get the choice between the brands that are brought, the compounds that are brought, and that's not.
Yeah, but as you said, it is really expensive. I think I seem to remember that one tire on average, and it's including the rim. I think it's about $5,000 a tire.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, but including the people that go to the events and the shipping.
Oh, no! I'm just talking about, okay. Here is if you manage to steal a tire with the rim, that would be €5,000. That's it, And then, of course, you're gonna include all the people in there.
Yeah,
right.
So expensive. So the other point, just to kind of reach a conclusion, I hope anyway, of some sort, is that Pirelli have, because we go to a lot of different tracks around the year. There's a lot of different temperature ranges the tires need to work within. And as such, each compound has a temperature range it's best working in, that it's suited for. And that makes a huge difference to how the cars can switch the tires on. And for me, in the past, they've always made the difficult decisions, right? The idea that the one tire is different for each temperature. You can go for a soft tire, but it works at a colder temperature than the harder tire that works at a hotter temperature, right? Which means the softer tire, you just can't get to switch on. So the harder tire becomes the better tire because it works at a higher temperature. This doesn't make any sense to me, because the very thing that we're doing by having a range of tires is to try and make the wear rate different. And if you go and neuter that by saying that the softer tires don't work at a high temperature, what are you doing? Right? I don't know what you're doing there. So to me, that's the issue, and I really hope that next year's tires don't fall foul of that problem.
The thing is that the wear of the tires is directly correlated to the temperature. It's not really the temperature of the track, but it's the temperature which the tire is working. And the temperature at which the tire is working depends a lot from how the car is built, rather than the external factors. So it's really tricky when the cars are racing. They basically manage to keep a certain temperature on the tire pretty much constant, and this is is the temperature at which the tire works.
Yeah.
The tire also has a peak of performance, and then it drops down. But it's all a matter of temperature, and it is the temperature which is developed by the running car.
Mm.
It's more, I think the problem is more, it's not rather a problem of external temperature, but it's a problem of how the tracks are built, the different coefficient of abrasion that every track has.
Right.
So, for example, in Monte Carlo, you can allow yourself to go with a really, really, really soft tire, because it's basically it's a street, it's a city, so it's not really abrasive, and you need a very soft tires to grip on that kind of tarmac.
Mm-hmm.
If you do the same in another circuit, it wouldn't work, because the tire will probably disintegrate, because the grip, the abrasion is so higher that that the tire basically, it doesn't slip, it just disintegrates.
Yeah.
So it's really tricky.
I see. Yeah, I mean, I was pointing what I was pointing out because I believed that some of the cars had problems with graining on the softer tires, because they couldn't get the temperature into the tires that they needed. Or no, I shouldn't say that. The tires quickly overwent the temperature, the working range of their temperature, and so that led to a lot of rubbering, but a lot of sliding, I should say, and then that led to blistering. But I just think that it's one of those things I would like to see. One of my bugbears has been the fact that we don't allow the different teams to take advantage of the way they build their cars for different tire use. And I think that would help the cheaper teams, especially, or at least when I say cheaper teams, lower budget teams.
Yeah.
Because it would allow them to build a more robust suspension system and use harder tires. And actually,
it's kind of a paradox. What you were saying, it's really interesting. The paradox is that blistering, for example, blistering on the front tires is not that much of a problem. The biggest problem is blistering on the rear tires, and the fact that they don't have electronic aids, like traction control and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It actually speaks volumes of how good those drivers are and how good those cars are, because once you have blister on the rear tire, and the more you spin, and the more the car, the tire disintegrates.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that it doesn't really happen, I mean, it has happened, sometimes, but not so often. I think it really speaks volumes to those, every driver which is in F1, and how the car are built. Mm-hmm. It's quite astonishing if you think about it.
Yeah, I would completely agree. Yeah, absolutely. So I guess then looking at next year, tires become the issue again. Do softer compounds make it more likely that we'll see differences between the teams, especially top to mid? That's quite interesting for me. And then I guess the other thing I'm excited to see is to check out Mercedes wheelbase,
mm-hmm.
to see whether that's changed for next year.
Yeah.
And then I guess the third thing I'm looking to see, I guess the test really, isn't it? It's to see whether Renault can produce a reliable engine through the test.
Yeah.
And that'll be a big teller. I think if Renault have a good test session, then they're probably going to be on for quite a good year. And that'll mean Red Bull will as well.
Renault will be catching up, because they've been destroying engines left, front, and center, especially the last races. But the thing is that it is one thing if you got a really powerful engine and no reliability. Now there's something you can work on. The thing is that, recently they've been destroying engines and they were not really that powerful. So it's really a big problem for them because they've got to catch up both on performances and on reliability.
Sure.
Which is something, for example, they're talking about another engine, Ferrari hasn't. The problems that they had in Asia, they were not directly correlated to engine reliability because there were details which broke up. Unfortunately, as they were not part of the core of the engine. So the reliability of the proper engine, the one which makes bang, it's not really that much of an issue. They have to look for performances.
Yeah.
And it's
so over the winter, that's what I'll be looking for anyway. What do you think you'll be looking for into next year?
I'm expecting Red Bull to make a nice car finally, because last year car was quite a bloody disaster. They managed to I got to give credit to Red Bull. They know how to develop a car, which at the beginning was completely rubbish. So I hope that we'll start with a good car. I do hope that, and TJ was asking a question on YouTube feed. I do hope that McLaren will do well with a Renault engine. There is a big if in it. I've been saying that over and over and over again. McLaren had a really good chassis with a shitty engine. And it's not a given that if you put a good engine on a chassis which has been proved to be okay, it's not a given that automatically you have a good car. A car is a delicate balance between chassis and the engine. So it's not said. It might even happen that if you put a really powerful engine on a good chassis, the whole car is shit. So they got to be really careful. But I do hope that McLaren bounces back. It would be about fucking time.
Yeah,
I'm expecting Ferrari to make a good job because contrary to last year, they're not. They will not be making a completely new car because the previous car was rubbish. Now what they have to do is to make an evolution of the current car, which is it has difficulties, but it's not as difficult as making a brand new car from scratch, like they did this year, and I think they did a brilliant job.
Yeah,
and I don't know. I'm expecting Mercedes Mercedes cannot. I think this is the first year that Mercedes, they cannot really sleep. They have to do something, and they have to actually make a proper good job, because the delta between Ferrari and Mercedes is not the delta which was last year.
Yeah.
Other cars are catching up, and I think they've got to really work hard in order for them to maintain the advantage that they have. So yeah, all in all, I hope it was going to be interesting.
Mm-hmm. Good. Okay. We've got a few months to go. I'm hugely excited, mainly because those early circuits do suit Ferrari and Red Bull more than they suit the Mercedes engined cars.
Mm-hmm.
And so that always, in recent years, has always given us a great beginning to the season.
Yeah.
And I see that continuing next year. So I'm hoping it's going to be a wonderful one. Alonso, he deserves it. He absolutely deserves something that he can drive into the top 5.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. And, I want to see his skills come back, because
I want to see them too. I think Alonso has got a great talent. I still think that personally, as a person, is not the most charming person ever to ever walk the earth. So
Yeah.
I would never go out to have a beer with Alonso.
I'm
Let me
not
put
sure
it this
any
way.
of the Formula One drivers are, to be perfectly honest with you.
Oh no, I agree. I totally agree with you. I mean,
Except maybe Hamilton,
uh,
and that's because he's a Christian. So you know.
yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. I go out with Ricciardo, but I go there barefoot.
Yeah.
Just you know,
You
just
don't
in case
you don't
he
know a
wants
split.
me. Yeah, yeah. I go out with Ricciardo, you know, because
He
fuck it, why
smiles.
not?
But again, I really want McLaren to have a good year because they don't deserve all of the rubbish that they've been given by the FIA. And now Bernie's gone, they do stand a chance of getting back into it. So.
Thank God Bernie's gone. Jesus Christ, about fucking time.
That's all we can say about him. He's done how
Yes.
many years? He's done 40 years or 30 years of service for Formula One.
Yeah.
First year he's gone. It's thank fuck for that.
Yes, about fucking time. Yeah, right.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, you're right. No, I mean, you know, I was thinking about, because I mentioned in passing, I mentioned Ricciardo. That might be an interesting story because next year, Ricciardo, his contract expires.
Mm-hmm.
And he will probably decide to sign up something about March or April. And it's going to be really interesting because, you know, I'm not really sure that Red Bull is really pushing to have him back, you know, on the car again.
I would agree.
So probably what will happen is that he will start looking around and see who has the best project, which, you know, it might not necessarily be the fastest car at the moment, but who has the best vision, the best project, you know.
Right.
So it might be really, and you know, in that kind of environment, you know things that you only know if you are there. So depending on where Ricciardo decides to go on probably April, or no, I don't think you'll get to May. That might be interesting, you know, and maybe some interesting pointers, you know, of how the season might develop.
Yeah, I mean, in all honesty, I see Kimi giving up the ghost next year and Ricciardo taking his place. I really do, and I think it would be the best signing for Ferrari to take Ricciardo because of what he can do with the car.
I would be fucking ecstatic.
Yeah, I would be pretty pissed off. But
I will buy an Australian flag if that happens, and I will put it on the wall there.
The reason I say it would make sense for Ferrari is because of the way Ricciardo drives the car.
Yes,
he doesn't have that similar style that Verstappen does. He has a much more neutral style, like Damon Hill and I don't know, quite a few others. I could think Rosberg and a few other, not so much Rosberg, but a few other drivers. You know, he's quite neutral in his car preference, and that really suits Ferrari, especially as a number 2 driver.
And he's also, I mean, he's also a character, which, you know, it helps a lot in F1 right now. It's mostly PR. I mean, if you are someone which everybody talks about, it actually helps. You know?
Yeah, and also he's got Italian, you know, ancestry.
Yeah,
that's got to be.
I mean, I would be really happy, and even more so. And one of the reasons why I'd be happy, you know, besides the fact that I totally love the way he drives the car, I would be happy because in recent interviews, is one of the few drivers that he's not really pining for Ferrari, you know, say, well, you know, I'll see there and there. So if he decides to go there, it's because, you know, something else has convinced him. You know, it's not it doesn't strike me as someone which has, like, for example, you know, Sebastian, which, you know, to him going to Ferrari was, I wouldn't say a dream, but, you know, it was somewhere that he wanted to go. He's not really pining for that, so I'd be really, really glad about it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of weird. I think, you know, I was going to say, bearing in mind Mark Webber's experience at Red Bull, I honestly think Ricciardo would do well to get out.
Yeah.
Once once Christian Horner has shown a preference for one of his drivers, it doesn't matter what he says. He's never giving equal parts out.
No, you're right. You're right. I mean, Red Bull has done many good things for F1, but there is one thing that they do. It's a fucking grinding machine for drivers. They literally grind, the persons to the bone. I mean, do I have to say Kvyat? For fuck's sake, that guy. They fucking destroyed that guy. For sure. I'm not even going, to the fact that he was a good driver or not. He wasn't that bad of a driver. They totally destroyed him.
Yeah, I mean, potentially. I think he is a good driver. I just think his personality isn't quite that needed for Formula One. The same with Verline, for instance. I mean, I think I honestly rate him as a better driver than Verstappen. But his personality is just nowhere on the level that Verstappen is.
You're right.
And it's so easy to see that. And you, as a driver, as a team owner, you don't want someone just getting in a car and going as fast as they can all the time. Sometimes you want them to drive for you,
Talking about personalities, it will be really interesting to see Leclerc next year. Because that guy, I mean, if you've seen some races that he did in F2, that guy has got personality to sell.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, and even if we will be on a Sauber, it will be really interesting to see how he performs.
I think Sauber in the past have been fantastic. When they had big Ferrari backing, they always turned out a nice car.
Yeah.
I think who was the guy that came second in his maiden year?
Oh,
Perez. Was it Perez?
I think so. Yeah.
And that car was fast. I mean,
Yeah.
So I think, if they put Leclerc into a Sauber, then Ferrari have got every reason to give them a great engine.
Yeah. And chances are, I mean, on paper, it might not be such a shitty car. I think I said, last time, but I made a mistake. The engineer which is making the new Sauber is an Italian named Furbato, and I said it was coming from Ferrari. He actually didn't. He came from some other, I think it was McLaren too, or stuff like that. But he's really well spoke in the circles. It seems to be he's a really competent guy. I mean, it's not Adrian Newey, of course, but it's not he's quite sharp.
Yeah, so, he wouldn't work for Haas, Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, right. Yeah, okay, yeah. For fuck's sake. Those guys, I don't know what the fuck possessed them. But
I know exactly what possessed them. Money. That's what possessed Ferrari to go, yeah, we'll give you a deal. Wow.
Yeah. Jesus.
How much money can we make out of this?
That was bloody embarrassing.
Well, ish. I mean, again, I realized at the time that it's all very well, even getting suspension parts from a company like Ferrari, but aero parts are what you need.
No, it was embarrassing. It was embarrassing for us. I'm not saying it was embarrassing for Ferrari. I mean, Ferrari, you want the engine? Yeah, there you go. We test some shit with you, and you act as a mule. Right on. But those guys had really no idea how F1 works. They made a good car at the beginning, and they had basically no evolution of the car whatsoever during the championship.
I didn't see it as a great car at the beginning. I really didn't.
No, it wasn't a great car, but it wasn't that much of a shitty car.
No, it
was a good car.
Yeah, they came with a good suspension, a good engine, exactly what Ferrari gave them.
And they were back with Force India, So and no more. Right.
At least Sauber have got a decent aero tunnel and shit like that. So they're not going to fall foul of that problem. So I would expect Sauber to do a lot better next year. At least be up there trying to challenge with Force India and Williams.
Yeah.
So
I'd love to see that. Especially because of Leclerc. As I said, it's going to be really, really funny to see.
And it'll be exciting, but he'll get his. It's Formula One. It's not GP2, right? Right. So whether he'll adapt quick enough is another matter. And that's always difficult. Again, just as a throw out to Lance Stroll this year about how well he's ended up at the end of the year compared to the beginning.
Yeah.
So
But you see, I mean, the school is there, even Van Dorn, the guy McLaren, I mean, he made some really good races, and he came from F2, at the time it was GP2, and actually trashed the championship just like Leclerc. And so it seems to me that it's a really good school. People comes from there. They seems to be the really competent and really good drivers. I mean, but again, of course, in Formula One, it takes way more than the driver. It takes the car, and it takes a good car.
yeah, I think certain drivers in Formula 2 get a bit more sponsorship, and that makes a difference for their careers. I think it is possible for one of the top teams to put a driver into Formula 2 and give him a winning car.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's as straightforward as their flat cars. That's how it is. I do think that the difference between the teams is a lot less, and it's made up, and it's shown up even more because of the drivers. But nonetheless, there is a difference between the top cars in Formula 2 to the bottom back of the grid cars.
Yeah.
And I think you can put a little more, preparation in, and a little more, whatever, strategy perhaps into some of the drivers more than others. So, yeah, and I would imagine Leclerc has been like that. And that's why he's had such a great year, because he's been, from the beginning of the year, given the full sponsorship deal. Whereas some of the drivers, like, I'm just trying to think of one of the ones which didn't really get much of a chance, even. Who was Kvyat's teammate?
I can't
Kvyat. Well, there was a driver that came in that was pretty highly rated, and he didn't do that. Van Dorn is another, right? Van Dorn came out, was rumored to be the man, right? And then, of course, has come in and actually is just shown what it means to be the man is to keep up with Alonso.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Van Dorn was driving, a lamppost. So, and I actually think that Van Dorn made a really good, championship, considering the car that he had. So, I don't know. It's gonna be fascinating. But yeah, I agree what you said about F2, but. Again, you should watch the last race where he won the championship of Leclerc. He made an overtake which was fucking insane. So yeah, you're right. Of course, you don't win the championship by yourself, but at least he showed that he's got huge testicles, and I mean massive ones.
I'm hugely impressed by him. I really am. I've watched him drive a few races this year, and yeah, he was easily up to Van Dorn. So that's great. Verstappen, I would say he performed better than Verstappen in his F2 year. So
yes.
Verstappen wasn't that impressive to me, but he was definitely a standout. So yeah, I mean, I'm hugely excited for next year. There's loads of little things that we can get our teeth into. Not just at the front of the grid, but in the middle of the grid, with a Sauber can catch up, or exactly how far will Williams fall, continue their fall, or will they stop their fall? And then even at the back with some of the new drivers coming in and giving us fresh talent in there.
Yeah, and I really do hope that TV coverage is going to be as good as the last race, because the front of the race was really boring last race, but middle of the pack people were really fighting, and I mean I really don't care to see if someone is ahead. And I don't care who he is. I don't care if it's Hamilton. I don't care if it's Vettel. I don't care if it's Raikkonen. I don't care. If you're someone ahead, he's got 2 or 3 seconds and nobody can catch him. I want to see the battle, for 10th and 8th and 7th place. If there is people properly driving, I want to see that kind of action.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Okay, well, it sounds like it's going to be another exciting year. Thank you to Hamilton for a fantastic year.
Good job.
Hugely well driven. Thank you for Ferrari and Seb for making it as close as it was up to the end. And let's just hope that the beginning of next year is even more fraught than the beginning of this one, because at least we'll know we'll get a great year.
I personally blame Rosberg for Hamilton winning the championship because I think that Hamilton came at the end of last season. He was so pissed that he actually changed his attitude in such a way that this year was fucking incredible.
I think you've probably hit the nail on the head there, Fabio. So
yeah, I blame Rosberg. It's his
all
fault.
Rosberg's fault.
Yeah,
okay.
right.
We'll leave that. In fact, really, we should just award this year's championship to Rosberg, shouldn't we?
Oh yeah. Well, okay. No, we should give the drivers has been won by Hamilton, manufactured by Mercedes, but the how can I say the moral pusher,
the supporting driver.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe Mercedes was still paying him. I don't know. Okay.
I think so. Let's
give it off. We've been an hour there, so that's fantastic. Thank you so much for joining me, Fabio. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on Vito's podcast and any podcast that we've done. So that's great, and look forward to seeing you next year. Thank you so much, everybody.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Cheers.